You've decided to be a foster parent. Now you have to decide if you want to get licensed through the county or the agency. In this episode, we're going to talk all about the pros and cons of both. My name is Brian Woodruff. I'm a foster and adoptive parent. I'm the creator of fostercareaction.com. I'm an author of the book, You Think You Want to Be a Foster Parent. Congratulations, you've decided to be a foster parent. The first step in this process is deciding, do you get licensed through the county or an agency? You can't take this step of the process lightly because this is really going to determine the amount of support that you're going to get throughout this entire journey. And you may find that this is the most overwhelming part of the journey, is trying to decide which way do you go. Today, we're going to take some time and break down each. We're going to start with the county. So getting licensed through the county has a lot of advantages, lots and lots of advantages, and it has some disadvantages too. And so let's just start with the big one. When you get licensed through the county, typically you will get a placement faster than when you get licensed through an agency. Now, why is that? Well, because when a child comes into care, the county receives the child. And what they typically do is they reach out to all their open foster parents first. And then if they don't get one of their foster parents to accept the child, then they send it out to a group of agencies all at the same time. So not all counties do it that way. Some counties just send it out to everybody at once. But a lot of times counties will be more favorable towards the foster parent that is licensed through them. So generally speaking, when you are licensed through the county, you generally will get a placement faster. Again, not 100% of the time, but in general, you're going to get a placement faster. But you're generally going to get less support when you work through the county. And that is not because the county doesn't care about you. They do. They care very deeply about you. But unfortunately, what has happened over the years is the number of children that are coming into foster care are increasing at a number greater than the budget is increasing. And it is simply financial. And so caseworkers in the county are having more and more cases added to their caseload. And so they're able to give less and less attention to an individual case. It is not in any way, shape, or form what the county wants to do. It is strictly financial. They only have so much money to work with, and so they have to do the best with what they've got. And again, I have met lots and lots of county caseworkers who are extremely compassionate people and who care deeply about their foster parents and who care deeply about their foster children and have just they have a task that is just impossible. They have way too much on their plate, and it is impossible to give everybody the attention that they need. Now, this is not in every case. There are counties that have figured out how to do this, but I will tell you, for the most part, talking to people across this country, most counties struggle with this phenomenon. And again, I am not saying in any way, shape, or form that the county caseworkers do not want to give you as much attention as you need. It just simply is physically is impossible. The other advantage about working through the county is you typically get information about the case faster. They're in direct conversation with the GAL, that is the guardian ad litem or the attorney for the foster child. Every foster child gets an attorney. They also work directly with the court system, so they have all the information immediately. And then if you work through an agency, they filter that information to the agency. And again, understand that they have a limited amount of time to take care of their caseloads. So that information getting to the agency sometimes can be days slower. And again, if it's critical information, it will get to the agency right away. But if it's not critical information, if it's just need to know information, it could take days for that information to get transferred to the agency. And so just understand that if you go through the county, when court appearances happen and changes to the case happen, they're going to know that information, and they're going to be able to relay that information to you much quicker than if you're with an agency. Counties typically have a list of doctors, therapists, other professional services that you may need. They typically have, in a lot of cases, contracts with those services. And so when you work with the county, it's sometimes easier to get all of those services simply because they know them all. It's not 100% true. It's not 100% of the time. And I'm going to talk about agencies, but I don't want to scare you. There are plenty of agencies that do the exact same thing, but I have not met a county yet that doesn't have a list of doctors, therapists, and other professionals that take Medicaid, which is what all of these children will be on. So that's the critical piece. Not every doctor, not every therapist, not every professional service takes Medicaid. And so you need somebody that takes Medicaid. And so they have all that information, and it's they can get that to you quickly. So that's a big advantage of working through the county. The other one that's probably a big deal for a lot of people is daycare. So counties typically have all sorts of programs for daycare. They have already approved daycares. They have voucher programs. They have direct pay programs. They do all sorts of things with daycare. And so if you're going to need daycare, you can do daycare through an agency. It's just typically easier, less work on your side to do it through the county because, again, they have agreements with all of those daycare facilities. Now, I will tell you this. Typically, the county has those services only in their county. So if you live outside that county, they may or may not have known daycares in your county if you happen to live outside your county. And I guess I should mention that you don't have to live in the county that you're licensed in. That's just the county that you're licensed in. So you don't necessarily have to live in that county. And so if you live outside that county, a lot of these daycare things may go away. Also, the doctors things may go away because those doctors and all of those services are going to be within the county that they represent. So daycare is definitely way easier, way less work through the county. Training. The county offers training. They want you to be successful. I will tell you that I have found, and again, this is not a blanket statement because every agency is different, every county is different, but I have found that agencies typically go more in depth with their training than the counties do. Understand part of the reason why is that the agencies are licensed and have contracts through the counties, and those contracts can be voided if you do something dumb. So they take a lot more time to make sure that you are trained properly so that their license and their reputation is not jeopardized. Not that the county doesn't take it seriously, they do. They do. I will just tell you that I have been associated with both, and in general, the training that you receive at an agency is more in depth than the training you receive at a county. But again, a county wants you to be successful in no way, shape, or form. Do they not train you? It's just, that's been my experience. Support groups. So the county does typically have some kind of support group like Facebook, Twitter, things of that nature, but it's typically limited. Typically, counties don't go really in depth. Now, I've seen counties that have done an amazing job with creating Facebook groups and connecting people together, but that's not normal. Typically, they don't do that. A lot of times, counties will partner with nonprofit organizations to try to promote that and do that through the nonprofits instead of through themselves, and that works also. But foster care, One thing about foster care is this is a team sport. It's not an individual sport. You're going to need a group of people around you because people on the outside aren't going to understand some of the things you're going through. And so you really need a team of people around you. And so having those kinds of support groups is critical to the success of being a successful foster parent. Again, the county does have some connection programs with different foster parents. They'll have, they may have some meetings that you can attend and so on and so forth, but they typically don't do that as well as agencies. Agencies typically do that a lot better, but again, they do connect foster parents to each other, and they do have some support groups and some things of that nature. But what I have found is it just in general, agencies do it way better. But again, this is not a blanket statement. Again, I'm not knocking the counties for that because there are counties that do a fabulous job of that. Some counties do special events, trips to the zoo, Christmas parties, Valentine's Day parties, farm events, things of that nature. They do that. I will tell you that when we talk about agencies typically do that a lot. But again, counties have a limited amount of funding, and so they have to be very careful about how and where they spend money. When counties do that, it's typically sponsored by somebody or an organization, and so they want to do it. But again, there's limited funding, and they need to use that funding where it's going to help the kids the most. And so sometimes those things aren't done as much. But again, I've seen some amazing events done by the county. I will just tell you again, in general, agencies do a lot more of that than counties do. Here's a big one. The counties have a list of nonprofit organizations that help foster parents in multiple ways with clothing and support and just a host of other things. So one of the reasons why is that anytime somebody starts a nonprofit, the first thing they do is contact the local children's services, the county's local children's services, and tell them, hey, I have a nonprofit and this is what I do. So they have the information before anybody, and they keep lists of that. And they eventually pass that information on to the agencies. But again, that information is slower to get to the agencies than the counties. And so the counties have all of this great information, so one of the things that if you're hearing a trend, one of the things that the county does is that the caseworker, you're not going to get as much attention from the caseworker, but they have all of the outside peripherals that they help you with that are going to help offset some of that support that you are missing maybe from your caseworker. So in conclusion with the county, so here's the way, if you want a placement faster and you feel like you're not going to need a lot of hand-holding, then the county is a great option. I know lots and lots of people that are licensed to the county who absolutely love it. And so if you feel like that once you're trained and you get the information, you feel like you're going to be pretty self-sufficient and you're not going to need a ton of support, and you like the idea of not having to worry about finding a daycare and things of that nature, the county is a great option for you. So, but if you feel like you're going to need a little bit more hand-holding, you want to feel more like a family, then the county's probably not your best option. But again, not true in every case. So I'm going to put a list of questions. My suggestion always is to interview both a county and an agency or multiple agencies, just like if you were interviewing for a nanny. And I have a list of questions that I would ask them that will help you determine what is the best way to go. Should I go with the county or should I go with an agency? But again, absolutely nothing wrong with the county. Counties are great. have lots of friends that are licensed to the county and absolutely love it. But if you get on these national Facebook groups that are about foster care, the one theme is that they don't you don't get as much support in the county as you do in agency. And again, if that's not a big deal to you, the county is a fantastic option.